Good afternoon, my world of rogues. My name is Erin Rogoff, and I would like to welcome you back to my BookTube channel. So, I have had a Goodreads page for a couple years now, and I finished my reading goal of 45 books a few weeks ago. Now I'm up to 55 books, and I didn't get a chance to make this video until now because of work, family life, social life, that sort of stuff. So, not including erotica novels or graphic novels, of which I've read 2 so far. Shall we begin? To start with the books that I've been reading, I breezed right through Until Friday Night by Abby Glines, and then Under the Lights, which was an interesting sequel. And then I also reread After the Game, also by Abby Glines, which was a fantastic book. Reading it a second time, it was like, wow, I missed some of these details, but it was still so beautiful. Moving on, I finished reading The Elite, which was my least favorite novel in the entire Selection series. And then we have The One, which is my favorite of the America novels. And then we also have The Heir, which is my absolute favorite novel in the entire Selection series. Next, we have Mockingjay, which was actually a letdown, personally. I don't hate people who say they loved the books because I loved the movies, but I still think the movies are better than the books. Do not hate me for that. Moving on, we also have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, which is one of my favorite LGBTQ novels. Some of the novels I have been reading are on my Kindle, and I don't know how to edit a little picture of the book in the video. So, another book that I read was Wolfheart by Shay Roberts. That was a supernatural novel. I really enjoyed it. And then I also got into science fiction, so I began rereading Life as We Knew It by Susan Beth Pfeffer. And then I finished reading The Dead and the Gone. And then finally, This World We Live In, and I'm currently reading The Shade of the Moon, which is the final book in the series. Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stohl was an absolutely beautiful novel. I have nothing bad to say about that. And then another book that I was reading was The City of Ember by Jeanne Duprow, which was a favorite novel when I was a little kid. And we have Crank and Glass, Fallout, which was my favorite book in the entire series. Oh my gosh. And then I also have Identical, which is a library book that I borrowed and I returned it, so I don't have the book now. And then another book that I read was Falls the Shadow by Skip Horak, although I have no idea what I was reading when I read that. And then I also have If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, my top favorite LGBTQ novel. And then we also have Vapor by Alexia Purdy, The Goblin Necromancer by Aubrey Law, The Girl in the Den of Wolves by R.J. Law. We have The City of Fallen Angels, which I have nothing bad to say. One Can Never Go Wrong with an Ember in the Ashes. My favorite fairy tale retelling, Princess of the Midnight Ball by Jessica Day George. Oh my gosh, I recommend this book wholeheartedly. I have nothing negative about this book except that I hate the bishop guy. Bishop Angier, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Forgive me about that. Going back to poetry, we also have Milk and Honey. And then we also have one of my favorite romance reads, That Summer by Sarah Dessen. Oh my gosh, I love this narrative. It's so beautiful, it's so sweet and thought-provoking. Oh my gosh. Moving on to more Kindle books, we have Strange Start by Gail Katz and Valmont's Descent by Matthew Callahan. Field of Bones by J.A. Jantz. I have that copy, but I gave it to my aunt to read, and she still needs to give it back to me. And then we also have Terminus by Jason Halstead and Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young and The Queens of Fenburn by Kendare Blake. I had those copies, but they were library books, so I had to give them back. Who Can Forget When It Happens by Susan Colasanti. And the other books that we have are all Kindle novels. And We Call It Love by Amanda Vink, Marie Antoinette by Hourly History. I read that because of my mom. She's a historian of the Monmouth County Historical Association in the state of New Jersey. I also read The Tumor by John Grisham, which I was actually really disappointed in, even though it was very informative. I actually expected that to be more of a book and not really a, I don't know what to call it. And then I also read Sad Poetry by German poet Nicholas Terwart. Forgive me if I pronounced that name wrong. And then we also have The Best of Francis Lincoln Poetry by Janetta Otter Barry. And then 30 Sunsets by Christine Hurley DeRiso, which was a romance novel that I really didn't like. Oh my gosh. And then we also have The Pieces of My Life by Latanya D. Young and Reflection by Latanya D. Young. And then we also have Lord of the Butterflies by Andrea Gibson. Now, that was not necessarily a favorite LGBTQ novel in the least, but I'm still glad I read it. I mean, it's something a little new, something I'm not really accustomed to, so I'm actually really happy that I read it. Anyway, those are just 43 books that I have read this entire year out of the 55 that I have read. So, if you like this video, hit that like button below and subscribe to my BookTube channel to get more videos like this. And have a great day, everyone!